chime in because you're Mr. Entrepreneur, and you are now the founder and chairperson of the Arthur Wylie Foundation, looking to do incredible things for youth. And how are you bringing that entrepreneurial spirit to your foundation?
Well, first of all, I'm a 49er at heart, so my blood is green, so I'm just glad to be here, you know. Yeah. You know, I've been taking so many notes, I haven't even had time to really think about everything else. I'm just like listening to everybody, so it's really exciting to be here. But I will tell a story, and Scott is always, I think he's one of the most humblest people I've ever met in my life. So I'll tell you a quick story of how Scott and I met and have went from the for-profit side and the nonprofit side. It was an early morning flight. I was flying out of Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic, and I was so tired. And you know, I was there for like 3-4 months because I was writing my book, Only the Crazy and Fearless Went Big. But at that time, it was called Why Die Broke. I was making my transition from the wealth management industry. And so while I'm there and I'm just thinking about like, God, I gotta raise at least another $20 million to fulfill these films that I had purchased. I had bought the rights to a New York Times best-selling author named Omar Tari, and this was during the time where, well, not even just during that time, but you guys are pretty familiar with films such as Harry Potter and things that come from books. The Marvel comics, but they make good movies. And so I had this hunch that these books would make really good movies, but it costs a lot of money to make it. So as I'm on the plane and I'm really tired, I was like, man, you got to be crazy and fearless, because I just walked away from my wealth management company that I had just sold, that I started here at University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And as I'm thinking about things, I wake up and I had a gentleman sit next to me, and it was Scott Steele, and he said, "Wow, you must have had a really good night, because you were really knocked out there." And I was like, "Yeah, it was my last night in the Dominican Republic. So anybody know about the last night in the Dominican Republic? You got to come back to some cold weather. You're gonna have a good time." So I had a great time, and we started talking about the business aspects of things that I wanted to do, but. He said, "Well, what are you passionate about?" And I said, "Man, I love helping aspiring entrepreneurs, young people, to help them get to their goals." And we just kind of talked for about, I guess, the last hour and a half about how we could end up changing the world and aspiring, these new entrepreneurs. So I ended up meeting with Tom Darden, that owned Cherokee Investment Partners, the founder. They run a $3 billion fund. I'm sure, Scott, you can go more into that. But Scott, what was interesting to me is that he was running the Brad Pitt Foundation, Make It Right. And I was like, wow, I was like, man, I need help with my foundation. And so they eventually started talking to me about, my foundation. But he says, you should talk to my boss at Cherokee Investment Advisors. And that individual, again, was Tom Darden and John Mazzarino, the two partners. And eventually, within about 2 weeks, those individuals made a commitment to help me fund literally, $20 million of my films. Even though it wasn't even all the cash, it was where they looked at matching the funds that I was putting in, and that came from a mere flight. And it comes from talking about what's your passion, because once we started talking about our passion, which was the foundation, and giving and helping people, it ended up translating right back into on the for-profit side. And for that, all of our films, we give money back to the aspiring entrepreneurs. We do it in 3 different facets. Number one, we make sure that they have scholarships and money to go to school, because that's what I needed when I was here at UNC Charlotte. I ran into that same situation where I tried to take money out, and I had like $7 in it, and Bank of America took out $10 yet. So that wasn't working. But they had Wachovia at the time, and so they had multiples of 5s. And so I was good. $5, man, you can really make that thing go, But I'm not sure I think you got Chick-fil-A here, so that probably wouldn't go too far. So it's great of how the entrepreneurship aspect can happen on a for-profit side and on a nonprofit side. But the other two things that we do at the Arthur Wylie Foundation is that we have mentorships. We believe that it has to have key people to help you get to that next level. I had some awesome mentors through my life. I mean, I can name them from Ray Kennedy to Hugh McCall that really helped build the banking, center here from, small North Carolina National Bank to now, what we see today of Bank of America. I remember meeting with them, and it was only one meeting. We don't meet all the time, but it was just one meeting several years ago, and he was just telling about his rigorous schedule of being on an airplane of like 200 days out of 365 days, while he was putting this thing together. So it was just interesting to have mentors like that to talk about the commitment of what it takes to really be successful. The third aspect of the Arthur Wylie Foundation, we put a curriculum together, which is called the Wylie Initiative and Study of Entrepreneurship, because people always come up to me and say, well, Arthur, how do you get $5 million? Or how do you raise $10 million? Or how do you get these crazy ideas into fruition? And so we wanted to create something that was just outside to supplement the things that this great education we get from UNC Charlotte and Central Piedmont Community College, that you can ask these questions. And so we're real excited about it, and so we're happy to be here, and I look forward to any questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Arthur. And Arthur, he goes full bore when it comes to his not-for-profit. It's a real entrepreneurial venture for him. He puts all this heart into it.